Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us for this webinar towards Net Zero Energy Data Center. I am Julie, and I'm here today with Stefan, Head of Global Application and Innovation, and with Jakob, Director of Digital Infrastructure. I just want to give you a little housekeeping before we get started, and that allow other people to join us. So we will use the computer and the audio. So you should see us, you should see a presentation, you should be able to hear us. You will be muted by default. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can use the questions panel on the right of your computer to write them, and we will either answer them during the presentation or at the end where we have a Q&A time. So we will be here, we will be connected. The webinar will be recorded. We'll share the presentation file, the record of it, and the questions will be answered at the end. So now I think with no further waiting, I will give the speech to Stefan.
Thank you, Julie. Thanks. Hey, Stefan Pietrek speaking. I'm, as introduced, the head of the Global Application Innovation in Danfoss Climate Solutions. This is a sales function where we're looking into new applications in order to help you as a customer and ourselves for sure to get a better grip on new technologies going on. So today it's about net zero data centers, and would like to talk about that. But let me first introduce Danfoss a little bit. Danfoss is divided or split into three business segments. The one is Danfoss Power Solution. These are hydraulics, just to make it simple. Hydraulics normally for off-highway applications, like you can see this excavator there, but also tractors. This is 1/3 of our group sales. We are very, very close to close an acquisition with the company Eaton, which will double us in the size of this business. Will be finalized mid of this year. Then we have Danfoss Climate Solutions. Danfoss Climate Solutions may not be known to you because this is a new segment, which is indeed the merger of Danfoss Heating and Danfoss Cooling. It is about bringing our expertise and our product portfolio together, as cooling and heating are more and more needed in the marketplace in order to deliver energy efficient solutions. Danfoss Climate Solutions, you can see and read on your own, 10,500 people in the team, and we have approximately 2.5 billion euros. The third pillar of Danfoss is Danfoss Drives. Danfoss Drives producing frequency converter and having approximately 1/4 of our turnover. So this is Danfoss. You will hear much more about Danfoss Climate Solution during the MCE here. This is the part of Danfoss which participates here at this exhibition. So what is this Danfoss Climate Solutions all about? As said, energy efficient heating and cooling solution in combination, right, with the broadest portfolio we have. It is about buildings, it is about the cold chain, it's about industrial applications and infrastructure in order to have an end-to-end application view on these applications mentioned. So what we are doing here is, and let's spend a little bit more time on this slide, is that we use our combined portfolio, which you can see around there with some thermostatic valves, with some substations, some balancing valves, heat exchangers, a big part of our business, with industrial applications for ammonia, with scroll compressors, with other thermostatic expansion valve, the electronics plus also our AllSense cloud solutions for monitoring, and many more products from our heating department, for example, the electrical heating parts. So all that we can combine and deliver to producers, as you can see, for heat pumps, rooftops, chillers, condensing units, cold rooms, everything you would imagine too. So that's Danfoss Climate Solution, and we want to focus here today on data centers. So what is in for data centers? What are the trends in data centers these days? Many of us have heard all those buzzwords, or those buzzwords, maybe not a nice word, but people talk about telematics, smart factory, industry 4.0, cloud computing, right? It's about software as a service, it's virtual reality, it is sensors needed, right? But what else is needed when we're talking about all these digitalization topics? It is data. And you see here 90% of all data today available was created in the past 2 years. So this is a tremendous growth area. 1 million new devices coming online every hour. 1 million. The figures I found in statistics said that already a few years back, 10 billions were there. Now 20 billions are there. So it's growing by 9 billions every year, and this is exponential, right? So we have a lot of data. We have a lot of devices coming in, and we need data centers to store that. And what does it bring to us as the human mankind here? It brings to us that we can also save some money. For example, IoT is set to save $1 trillion a year in maintenance, making life easier to maintain our technical systems. So that's what it is all for, right? We need data centers for that, and there are many different types of data centers. You see them listed here, from the hyperscale one. Just let us have a look to the typical size, right? It's 100 megawatt plus electricity consumption here, 100 megawatt plus, where we normally use water-cooled chillers. It is about the co-location one of smaller ones where you can rent your server if you want, where you have also cooling and heating equipment, where you have drives in, where you need a fire system, right? You can have enterprise data centers. You see also big ones, 40 megawatt. You see one name here, but you can also mention others like Google, Alibaba, Facebook. So just to mention a few, not all of them. And you can have smaller sizes all spread all over the place for telecom. Also, this is where we need some temperature control. Plus, in order to make the cloud happen, the edge data centers, which are based strategically in some areas where they need it before the data is really stored in the cloud. We mentioned here a lot about megawatts, right? This means also a lot of electricity will be used or is already used, and much more will be used in future. According to the European Commission in 2020, the energy increase by the energy will increase by 21% to this nice figure of 92.6 terawatt hours by 2025. What does it mean, right? In 2017, the US had 90,000 terawatt hour. The whole world in 2017 had 416 terawatt hours. And if every country will increase by 21% minimum, inclusive all energy efficiency measures to be taken before, right? If we will increase by this percentage on the energy consumption, we will have a big challenge. So what to do? You need to think about the trends driving the higher efficiency for data centers. And I know the industry already started to do that. It is about location, where to place your data center. We'll come back to free cooling. It's better to place it where the ambient temperature is not that high, but there are also other reasons to place data centers in the country you live in. Strategical reasons, political reasons, also to be close to the consumer. So it is about the design of the data centers, the building. It is about the technology to be used either for the server, the hardware, the electronic hardware itself, or the cooling, heating part of the data center. So location is a part. It's the trend is for the cooling temperature to increase the cooling temperature, so the electronics are less dependent on low temperatures. There's also a trend to cool closer to the CPU itself. For example, it's just an example from Danfoss. We have a part power electronics in Danfoss, which is mainly electronics. As said, power electronics for electrical cars used there, where we are cooling the CPU, right? So to get much more out of it. So this is one part. You try to get the cooling temperature up, and another one is you want to decrease the heat rejection temperature, meaning getting this condensing temperature, as we say in cooling, down. So you can additionally do something on the free cooling, meaning simply blowing cold air, ambient air inside the data centers with filters, etc. Or you use a chiller for that. Or you use adiabatic cooling, meaning spraying water on your condenser to decrease the temperature there. So these are trends already there. The political landscapes pushes for for higher energy efficiency, lower energy consumption. However, for now, there are not yet strict regulations on that. There is a EU code of conduct on data center energy efficiency in place. So all the big players in Europe have said they want to be net zero in their data centers. There is an ASHRAE standard. It's a relatively old standard, so to say. In China, there are discussions to reduce the PUE, the performance of a data center. It's measured in PUE, to reduce this in by law, so to say. These are discussions, but not yet done. So it is known that energy efficiency needs to increase. This means also this nice chart, which we can see for many technologies, right? New solution is coming in. That the old solutions like the room-based cooling, you see that in the column saturation, it's going out. So we have much more chiller water cooled data centers. We have a row-based cooling, and we're getting much more the rack-based cooling, and as mentioned, free adiabatic cooling coming up. And as also mentioned, the CPU cooling, direct CPU cooling, or even some discussions or some tests being done on liquid immersion cooling, meaning just let a refrigerant evaporate directly on the electronics. So this is coming up. These are some technologies, newer ones and the older ones going out, which helps for this energy efficiency increase. Danfoss, yes, we can provide the product portfolio for a lot of those applications, for chilled water, for fire safety. We can do drives for DC instead of AC power grids. We have valves and actuators for the water systems, so-called balancing valves. As mentioned, the frequency converter, heat exchanger with a 100 megawatt electricity connection, right? You need a lot of heat exchange. We have compressors, such as scroll compressors. We can have the turbo core compressors, which are very famous in this industry, the turbo compressors, because of their efficiency, because of some other benefits they have, right? We can also deliver even some high pressure water mist nozzles for fire safety, right? Very micro droplets. It's not like the water fire safety methods, you know. It's very, very micro droplets for fire safety. So, and we have a lot of sensors and many more products. You can see those in the presentations later today and tomorrow. All right, so you will see some presentations about turbocore. You will see something about track units, CRAC units here with scroll compressors, etc., etc. Let's talk a little bit about the adiabatic and free cooling possibilities to lower this PUE, this efficiency parameter in data centers. It is clear that if you could use the ambient temperature to cool your data centers, then you don't need electricity, right, for the cooling. So that's a possibility to do. You can also, as said, spray water on your condenser of this cooling system and then getting the condensing temperature down. So these systems allow lower energy consumption, and by that lowering the PUE. This PUE, you may know that, right? It is so how much of energy in the data center is used in total versus the energy used by the server itself, by the electronics, so to say, itself. So meaning if you have a PUE of 1, then you don't use energy for all the auxiliary systems in the data centers. If you have a PUE of 2, then you'll use the same amount of energy for cooling, heating, air ventilation as you use for the servers itself. Today, the average is, and I need to look on my paper, the average is 1.12. That's for Google data centers, which is the lowest one. In globally, it's something around 1.6. So some way to go, but it also shows that one data center in Oklahoma has a PUE of 108. So there is a possibility also to get down into this parameter and to save energy. So we can help here with, as mentioned, our valves and actuators, drives for pumps and fans. We high pressure pumps with the spray nozzles for the fire safety, gasket heat exchangers, etc., etc. But there's something more to do, right? If you already have, let's say, waste heat, because you will use electricity for your service, so you need that for the data. For the data management, for the computing power. So if you have that already used, then why do we blow it into the air, into the environment? Why don't we use it, right? And this is a little bit beyond this PUE calculation, where I state, is PUE really the right measure to get to green data centers? I think no, because PUE does not reflect the use of waste heat. So if we would use the waste heat by heat recovery, we would have a far better net zero data center than without this use of heat. We can, for example, take the heat with the temperature coming out of the data centers. Okay, it's going down, but let's put a heat pump on that, increase the temperature, and then bring it into a district energy network, right? Use it close to the data center for heating purposes, tap water, heating in wintertime, right? The data center runs 24/7, has to run 24/7. So why not using this to heat houses, maybe also store the energies in some storages, and then just simply reuse it for this communal heating. Some projects are done. Living here in Germany, close to Frankfurt, I know about one data center being built where all the heat will be reused close in the closely built apartments next to the data center. So that is what it's all about here on data center, on the way to green green image, to net zero, so to say. And want just to mention one thing is you can do a lot of things on a PowerPoint, you can talk about it, etc. But what I really liked from our founder, Mats Clausen, is he said, action speaks louder than words. So that's what we have taken into account here in the organization in Danfoss. And we are building our data centers for Danfoss as a kind of application development center. So what you see here on this photo, this is a data center, real existing data centers for Danfoss, right? Being built according to what I have just said, right? Reduce the PUE, using, for example, our turbo compressors with 30% higher efficiency, bringing in heat recovery, connecting this data center, as you see it here, to the district energy grid, which is close to our headquarters in Denmark. We have such a district energy grid. We use heat pumps, bringing this waste heat up and going to heat our overall headquarters, by the way, 250,000 square meters, so that in 2022, our headquarters will be CO2 neutral, not only because of the data center heat recovery, but because of many, many other things. But the data center heat recovery will contribute by 25% of the overall heat for these buildings around production, office buildings, etc. And this will be reached in 2024 because we need more data centers as everyone. So using also our drives to get a high lifetime PUE, and with DC grid distribution solutions is a piece of that. So as said, we want to show that you have already the solutions for green data centers, net zero data centers on hand. It's just that we need to apply them. So that's what I wanted to talk about, just to give you an introduction to what you can hear and expect during the next 2 days here in the digital MCE or in the virtual MCE. So you will have more of those presentations. For example, today at 2 o'clock, Edward Rodriguez will talk about optimized data center performance with turbocore compressors, or Mathieu Stoll today at 3 o'clock, upgrade your commercial hydronic systems with scroll chillers and heat pumps to the next generation. Or tomorrow, we will also talk about, with Mathieu Canal, a reliable and energy efficient solution for crack and close control units. So this is what we want to say. Maybe we have some questions. Julie?
Yes, thank you, Stefan, for this presentation. Just to remind you that if you have questions, you can type them in the question box in your control panel. so that Stefan and Jakob can answer them. Because it looks like we have no questions at the moment, which means that the presentation was very clear. Thank you, Stefan. Let's give a few minutes to everyone to type their question, except if you want to add something, Stefan or Jakob, as we have a few minutes left.
Yeah, maybe Jakob, would you talk a little bit about the DC solutions with our drives? Just
Thank
what
you.
it is. And
I can mention that we are looking into using direct current as solutions for data centers too. One of the big advantages to shift to DC, which we, for the record, have experience with from marine industry. So it's not just something we're saying, but one of the big advantages we can remove power conversion steps, which will save energy, but also save on the heat generation side. So we have seen reports that says if you could go to all DC power distribution in data centers, you could actually save as much as 10 to 15% on the data center itself. So it's one area we're exploring, and it's one area we happily take inputs and discussions on too.
okay, thanks, Jakob. So another possibility to see what Danfoss can offer. Any questions, Julie? I can't see the question mark.
Yes, someone is asking where we can get the presentation. So don't worry, this webinar is recorded. After the presentation, we will send you the presentation as a PDF and also the link to review the presentation if you would like. That will be sent directly to your email that you used to register for today's attendance. I think we've covered all the topic, except if you want to add something before we wrap up.
No, I think then if there are no questions, I mean, this is the first presentation of a role here at the exhibition. So it's the starting point. I trust that later on we will have much more questions that we will answer, also questions on our booth,
yes,
so to say,
exactly.
right? So visit us there and just make yourself familiar with our offering. So Danfoss Climate Solution has said the merge between heating and cooling is really a big opportunity for us and also for you to get the complete solution in heating and cooling space, right? So this is really heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration solutions we can offer. I think it's a good thing. Let us also know what you think about it as customers. And yeah, let's stay in contact, right?
Yes, thanks, Stefan. Thanks, Jakob. Thank you, everyone, for being with us today. As mentioned by Stefan, if you want more information or tools or resources, please visit danfoss.com, where you can find all the information. You will also find the link for the presentation and the record of this presentation on our website. And we are available during the next 2 days on our digital booth on Mostra website. So do not hesitate to stop by and ask your question if they come later. So thanks everyone for joining us today, and we hope to see you soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.